This is the story of a disturbing, real food delivery horror story I am going to tell you. And I swear, after you hear it, you might think twice before ordering food late at night. So just sit back, listen carefully, and don't let your mind wander, because this story, it really happened to someone I know. It was a cold November night. My friend Daniel, who lived alone in a quiet apartment complex on the edge of town, had just gotten home from work. He was exhausted, too tired to cook anything. So he did what most of us would do. He grabbed his phone and ordered food from a delivery app. Nothing fancy, just a burger and fries from a nearby fast food place. He even joked with me earlier that day about how he couldn't survive without that app. But that night, the app turned into something much darker. The estimated delivery time was 30 minutes. So Daniel put on some TV, changed into his pajamas, and waited. The minutes passed slowly, and outside, the wind picked up. You know, that eerie kind of wind? The one that makes the trees outside scratch against the windows? Yeah, it was like that. At exactly 34 minutes in, Daniel's phone buzzed. A message from the app said, "Your order has arrived." But here's where it gets weird. There was no knock on the door, no doorbell, just the message. So he got up, walked to the door, and peeked through the peephole. No one. Nothing. The hallway was empty. Confused, Daniel opened the door slightly and looked around. Still no one. No bag of food on the ground either. He stepped out, checked left and right, and called out softly, "Hello?" Silence. He figured maybe the driver had left it at the wrong apartment, so he went back inside, opened the app, and tried calling the delivery driver. The call rang once, then cut off. He tried again. This time it didn't even ring. Straight to voicemail. Daniel was annoyed now, hungry, and tired. He messaged the support chat in the app, but before he even got a reply, his phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a notification from the app. It was a text message from an unknown number. It said, "I see you." That's it. Just those 3 words. At first, he thought it was a prank, maybe a wrong number. But then another text came in. "Blue plaid pajamas." Nice choice. Daniel froze. He was wearing blue plaid pajamas. He hadn't posted any pictures, hadn't been on social media. Whoever was texting him was watching him. Right now. He ran to the window and yanked the curtain aside. Nothing outside but darkness and shadows. Still, he didn't feel alone anymore. He locked the door, turned off the lights, and backed away from the windows. Then came a third text. "You forgot to tip." His heart dropped. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Not a normal knock, not polite or soft. It was loud, heavy, slow. 3 knocks, then silence. Daniel didn't move, didn't breathe. He just stood there, staring at the door. After a minute or 2 of silence, he slowly moved forward, tiptoeing across the wooden floor. He peeked through the peephole again. This time there was someone there. A man. Tall. Wearing a dark hoodie pulled low over his face. He was holding something in his hand. A food delivery bag. Daniel didn't open the door. He asked through the door, "Who are you?" The man didn't respond. He just slowly lifted his head so his eyes met the peephole. Then he smiled. A wide, unnatural smile, and whispered something. Daniel couldn't hear what he said, but he saw his lips move. Then the man placed the bag on the floor and walked away without another word. Daniel waited a good 5 minutes before unlocking the door. His hands were shaking. He opened it just a crack and looked outside. The hallway was empty again. He grabbed the food bag and brought it inside, locking the door behind him. Now most people would have just thrown the bag away, but Daniel for some reason opened it. Maybe he still thought it was a joke. Maybe hunger made him stupid for a moment. Or maybe he just needed to know. Inside the bag was a burger box. No fries, no receipt, just the box. He opened it. Inside was not food. It was a picture, a printed photo of him, sitting on his couch, watching TV, from behind. Like someone had been in his apartment and taken the photo from inside the room. Daniel dropped the box. His stomach turned. His hands were sweating. He checked every room in the apartment, under the bed, in the closet. Nothing. But the fear wouldn't go away. He called the police, told them everything. They came quickly, searched the apartment, checked the building's security footage. And this is where things got even worse. There was footage. A tall man in a hoodie walked up to Daniel's door, but not from the elevator, not from the stairs. The man appeared on camera at the end of the hallway and just walked into frame from the emergency exit, which should have been locked. Then, after he left the food bag and walked away, he never left the building. They never saw him leave. No footage of him going down the stairs. No footage of him outside. It was like he vanished. The police stayed for a while. They even told Daniel to stay with a friend for the night. He came to my place and crashed on my couch, but that's not the end. 2 days later, Daniel's doorbell rang again, this time in broad daylight. He checked through the peephole. No one, just a food bag on the floor. He called me right away, panicked. I told him to call the police again, but he didn't. He grabbed the bag, took it outside, and threw it straight into the trash. But curiosity got the better of him. That night, he went back and opened the bag. Inside was a USB stick, and Daniel, being Daniel, plugged it into his laptop. On the drive were dozens of photos of him, sleeping, eating, showering, all taken from inside his apartment. He moved out the next day. To this day, they never found the guy. The food delivery app had no record of any driver assigned to his order. The restaurant didn't even receive it. It was a fake. Someone had used the app's design to send him messages, trick him into thinking it was normal. Whoever it was had studied him, watched him, knew everything, and they could still be out there. So the next time you order food, double-check the name, look through the peephole, and if your delivery comes with a smile that feels wrong, don't open the door. You never know who's really on the other side. This is the story of a real disturbing food delivery horror that happened to my friend Alex. And I'm telling you this story because after hearing it, you'll think twice before ordering food, especially if it's late at night. This isn't one of those made-up ghost stories. This happened to someone I know. It all started a few weeks ago. Alex had just finished a long, stressful day at work. It was one of those days where everything seemed to go wrong. He was in no mood to cook, and he didn't want to leave his apartment either. So, like most of us, he pulled out his phone and opened a popular food delivery app. He ordered a pizza and a bottle of soda. Simple enough, right? The app showed the usual delivery in 30 minutes message. Alex, exhausted, threw on his favorite hoodie and sat down on the couch, flipping through channels on the TV. The sound of the rain tapping against the window made the evening feel colder and quieter. The clock ticked away, and Alex's eyes grew heavy. But just as he was about to fall asleep, his phone buzzed. It was the food delivery app. "Your order has been delivered." That was the message. But there was a problem. He didn't hear the doorbell. He hadn't heard any knock either. He was sure the food wasn't at his door. Confused, Alex got up from the couch and checked the front door anyway. He peeked through the peephole, but there was nothing out of the ordinary. No food, no delivery person, nothing. He opened the door, slightly, stuck his head out into the hallway and looked around. The building was silent as usual. He didn't see anyone. A little annoyed, Alex pulled out his phone and tried calling the delivery driver. The phone rang once, then went straight to voicemail. He thought maybe there had been a mistake. Maybe the delivery was delayed. So he texted the app's customer service. He didn't expect an immediate reply, but it came almost instantly. The message from customer service said, "We apologize for the inconvenience. Your order is marked as delivered. If you didn't receive it, please check your front door again." Alex was puzzled. He checked the door again. Still nothing. At this point, he figured someone must have delivered it to the wrong apartment. Maybe he was just being paranoid, but he started to feel something wasn't quite right. The strange feeling grew stronger when he noticed something on his phone. A new text from an unknown number. The message said, "I see you." Alex froze. He stared at the phone for a moment. Who would send him a message like that? It didn't make sense. He thought maybe it was a wrong number or maybe one of his friends messing with him. But before he could shake off the weird feeling, another text came in. This one was worse. "Red hoodie. Is it comfortable?" Alex was wearing a red hoodie. He hadn't posted a picture of it. He hadn't mentioned it to anyone. How could this stranger know what he was wearing? Panic started to creep up on him, but before he could act on it, there was a loud knock at the door. 3 knocks, short and hard, like someone was impatient. His heart started to race. He wasn't expecting anyone. The delivery was supposed to be there earlier, but it was way past the time. He stood there, staring at the door, trying to decide if he should open it. The knocks came again, this time slower, almost deliberate. He took a deep breath, walked cautiously over to the door, and peeked through the peephole. He saw a figure standing on the other side, but the person was facing away from the door. They were wearing a black jacket with a hood pulled up over their head, hiding their face. The person didn't make a sound, didn't move, didn't knock. Again. They just stood there. Alex hesitated. He wanted to open the door and confront them, but something stopped him. A gut feeling. Something told him that if he opened that door, he might not like what he found on the other side. So he stayed, quiet, staring at the figure through the peephole. After a long, tense silence, the person turned around and walked away slowly. Alex didn't know what to do. He was scared, but also incredibly curious. What was going on? What did they want? A few minutes passed. Still shaken, Alex decided to open the door and take a quick look. He cautiously pulled the door open, and sure enough, there was a food delivery bag sitting on the floor. His pizza, his soda. The receipt was crumpled up on top of the bag, and a strange, uneasy feeling settled in his stomach. Alex bent down to grab the bag, but before he could, something caught his eye. There was a small piece of paper tucked into the folds of the bag. It looked old, torn at the edges, like it had been sitting there for a while. Alex pulled it out and unfolded it carefully. The note simply read, "You should have opened the door sooner." His heart dropped into his stomach. He stared at the note, frozen, trying to make sense of it. There was no way he was going to eat the pizza now. No way he was touching the soda. His stomach twisted with dread. He backed away from the door, slamming it shut, and locked it behind him. For a moment, Alex just stood there, staring at the bag of food on the floor, the note still in his hand. He needed to call the police, but he didn't know what to say. How could he explain this? A weird note, a strange figure, and an unsettling delivery. It all seemed too bizarre, but he didn't have time to think. His phone buzzed again. It was another text message from the same unknown number. "I know you're still hungry." Alex dropped his phone, his hands trembling. He didn't want to look at it, didn't want to deal with it, but his curiosity got the better of him. He picked it up and checked the message again. The words were there, clear, eerie. Then, just as he was about to block the number, his phone buzzed one more time. This time, it wasn't a text. It was a video message. Against his better judgment, Alex pressed play. The screen flickered to life, showing a blurry image of his apartment, his kitchen, his living room. The video panned around slowly, as if someone was walking through his apartment. But no one was there. He didn't recognize the voice in the background either. It was distorted, low and muffled, like someone was speaking through a filter. The video ended abruptly. Alex felt like he was about to pass out. The fear, the anxiety, it was all too much. He didn't know who was doing this or why, but the reality was clear. Someone had been in his apartment. They had been watching him, and now they were sending him these disturbing messages. The police arrived a little while later, but there wasn't much they could do. They checked the building's security cameras, but the footage was too blurry. There was no sign of anyone entering his apartment. No one saw anything suspicious. Alex eventually moved out of the apartment, his sense of safety shattered. He couldn't sleep, couldn't relax, always feeling like someone was lurking just outside his door. He never ordered food delivery again. So next time you order food, remember this story. Be careful. You never know who's on the other side of that delivery. You never know who's really watching you. This is the story of what happened to my friend, Sarah. It's a disturbing food delivery story, one that stayed with her, and with me, since the night it happened. If you've ever ordered food late at night, you might want to rethink that after hearing this. It's not just about bad service or cold pizza, it's something much worse. Sarah had just finished a busy day at work and was feeling drained. She didn't want to cook, and frankly, she didn't have the energy to go out and grab something to eat either. So, like so many of us do, she opened her phone and ordered a meal from a food delivery app. She selected her usual, fried chicken with fries, and a Coke to wash it all down. Easy, right? Just what she needed after a long, stressful day. She placed the order around 8:45 p.m., thinking she'd have her food delivered in about 30 minutes, just like always. Sarah was used to the late-night orders, but what happened next was nothing like what she expected. The first sign that something was off came when she saw the "delivery in 20 minutes" message pop up. It wasn't strange, but there was an odd urgency to it. She brushed it off, thinking maybe the driver was just getting a move on. But when the clock struck 9:15 p.m., Sarah was getting a bit irritated. Her food was still not there. She checked the app. "Delivered," the app said, but she hadn't heard the doorbell. She hadn't heard a knock. Nothing. Frowning, Sarah got up and checked the door, feeling the creeping frustration of her hunger mixed with confusion. When she peeked through the peephole, there was nothing outside. No food, no delivery driver, nothing at all. She opened the door cautiously and stepped out into the hallway. Her stomach growled, and she pulled out her phone to try calling the delivery driver. The phone rang once, then the call disconnected. She tried again. Same thing. Now she was getting annoyed. Maybe the driver was just ignoring the calls, or maybe there was some mistake. She pulled out her phone again and opened the app's customer support chat. She quickly typed, "I haven't received my order. The app says delivered, but it's not at my door." She pressed send and waited, watching the little bubble appear as the customer service representative responded. "We're sorry for the inconvenience. Please check your door again. It's marked as delivered." At this point, Sarah was getting frustrated. She opened the door once more, hoping against hope that somehow the food had appeared out of thin air. But nothing. There was no food, no driver. It felt like she was losing her mind. The doorbell didn't ring. There was no knock. Yet the app insisted her food was at her door. What was going on? Then her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a message from customer service. "I see you. Are you hungry?" The text came from an unknown number. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She stared at the message, her mind racing. Who was this? How did they know she was hungry? She hadn't shared anything with anyone. No one knew she'd just ordered food. She felt a sinking feeling in her gut, but dismissed it as paranoia. Maybe it was just a prank, a wrong number, or someone messing with her. She tried to laugh it off, even though she could feel her hands shaking a little. But the next message made her blood run cold. "I can hear you breathing." Her heart raced. Sarah had never felt this uneasy in her life. She quickly typed back, "Who is this? What do you want?" No response. Instead, the doorbell rang. It wasn't the usual cheerful ring you'd hear from a pizza delivery driver. It was more of a slow, deliberate sound, almost like whoever was ringing it was waiting for her to answer. Sarah felt her heart thudding in her chest as she walked toward the door. She stood there for a moment, holding her breath, wondering what to do. The doorbell rang again, and this time, she opened it. There was no one standing there. Just like before, the hallway was empty. No sign of anyone. Just the sound of the wind howling softly outside. She blinked, wondering if she was losing her mind. Had someone been standing there? Maybe she just imagined it. Maybe it was a trick of the mind. But when she looked down at the ground, she saw something she hadn't expected. A food delivery bag. Her fried chicken and fries were inside, the soda can dented but still cold. The receipt was thrown on top, crumpled as if it had been tossed in a hurry. Her first instinct was to reach down and grab the bag, but then something caught her eye. On the edge of the bag, a small note had been tucked inside. It wasn't from the restaurant. It wasn't a part of her order. She pulled it out carefully, her fingers trembling as she read the note. "I told you to open the door sooner." The blood drained from Sarah's face. What did that mean? How did someone know she was waiting? She hadn't even seen the delivery driver. She hadn't heard any footsteps, just the strange note and the food. A cold dread washed over her. She felt trapped, like someone had been watching her. No matter how hard she tried to make sense of it, there was no way to explain what had just happened. It didn't add up. She wasn't just dealing with a mistake or a mix-up. Someone had been following her, tracking her, or even worse, waiting for the right moment to send a message. Before she could process anything further, another message popped up on her phone. "Eat the food. It'll be good." She recoiled, the phone almost slipping from her hands. This wasn't a prank anymore. Whoever was behind this knew she was alone. They knew exactly when she was waiting. Her stomach turned. She couldn't eat the food. She couldn't even think about touching it. But she didn't know what to do. She could call the police, but how would she explain it? How could she tell them there was a delivery with a strange note and a weird text? At that moment, the doorbell rang again, and it wasn't a mistake. She rushed to the door and peeked through the peephole. No one was there. But when she opened the door a crack, she found another note, this time on the floor of her hallway. The handwriting was shaky, almost frantic. "You should have eaten the food. I can't protect you anymore." With that, Sarah didn't wait another second. She bolted, leaving everything behind. The food, the strange texts, and the terrifying notes. She ran to a friend's house, never looking back. That was the last time she ordered delivery food at night. In fact, that was the last time she ever ordered food from that app. And she never told anyone else about the experience, until now. Because sometimes, it's easier not to know what's lurking in the shadows. And sometimes, it's safer not to answer the door. So next time you're hungry, maybe think twice before you order food late at night. You just never know who or what might be waiting on the other side of that delivery. This is the story of my friend Mark, and the night he will never forget. It's about something that can happen to anyone. Ordering food, something simple, right? But what happened to him that night changed everything. And it's all because of one seemingly innocent mistake. Mark had just moved into a new apartment. He was still getting used to the area, and since it was a Friday night, he didn't feel like cooking. He'd just finished unpacking and setting up his furniture, but there was still a lot to do. His stomach growled, reminding him he hadn't eaten much that day. He pulled out his phone and opened the food delivery app, quickly deciding on a burger and fries. He had ordered from this place before, so he knew it was good. It was already 9:30 p.m. when he placed the order. He didn't expect it to take long. He was used to waiting a little while, but 30 minutes at most seemed reasonable, especially on a Friday when people were ordering in more than usual. The countdown on his phone said the food would be delivered by 10:05 p.m. It was now 10:15 and still no sign of the delivery. Mark started getting impatient. He checked his app again, and it said the delivery was on its way. So he decided to give it a few more minutes. But after another 15 minutes, when the time hit 10:30, he couldn't take it anymore. He went to the door to check the hallway, hoping maybe the delivery driver had left the food outside. But there was nothing. No bag, no sign of anyone. The hallway was empty. He walked back into the living room and sat down, his frustration growing. The app said it had been delivered, but he had nothing to show for it. He opened the app again to contact the restaurant. He started typing a message to customer service when suddenly his phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number appeared on the screen. "I have your food." Mark stared at the message, his eyes narrowing. What was going on? Who was this? He hadn't given anyone his phone number, and certainly not the delivery driver. He quickly typed a response. "Who is this?" The response came almost instantly. "I'm the one who's bringing your food. Don't worry, I'll be there soon." Mark felt a chill run through him. Something about this felt all wrong. He hadn't seen a delivery driver. He hadn't heard anyone knock. Yet this person claimed to have his food. Was this some kind of prank? Was it possible the driver had made a mistake? Or worse, was this person messing with him? He decided to try calling the restaurant to sort it out. but his call went straight to voicemail. That only added to his growing sense of unease. He looked at the message again. Whoever it was seemed to be toying with him, and now Mark was starting to feel genuinely unsettled. He glanced at the door again. Still nothing. He checked the app, but it showed the food as delivered. He let out a sigh and paced the apartment, trying to calm his nerves. The last thing he wanted was to be worried about a meal, but something about this situation didn't feel right. As he was about to sit back down, he heard the faintest sound, a light tapping on his door. It wasn't a knock, more like someone trying to be subtle, but it was definitely there. Mark froze for a moment. His heart raced. Was this really happening? He slowly walked to the door, peeking through the peephole. To his surprise, there was no one standing there. He slowly turned the handle and opened it a crack. His eyes quickly scanned the hallway. Nothing. No one was around. Just as he was about to shut the door, something caught his eye. There, on the ground, just at the base of the door, was a food delivery bag. The same kind of bag his meal usually came in. But there was no driver in sight. Mark picked up the bag cautiously. He glanced up and down the hallway again, his pulse quickening. There was no one around. He felt a mix of relief and confusion. How had it gotten there? He opened the bag. His burger, fries, and a drink were neatly packed, exactly as he had ordered. But something else was inside the bag. A small note folded up and resting at the bottom. His fingers trembled as he unfolded it. The note read, "I saw you earlier. I know you're alone." Mark froze. His mind raced. How could this person know he was alone? Was it just a coincidence? Or was someone watching him? He had no idea how to process it. Maybe it was a sick joke, but something about the way the words were written made him feel cold. He quickly shut the door, heart pounding, and locked it. He stared at the note for a moment, his thoughts spiraling. He felt like he needed to tell someone about it, but who would believe him? A stranger had just delivered his food, and they knew way too much about him. Mark thought for a moment, his mind working. There had to be an explanation. He thought about calling the police, but then what would he say? Someone sent me a creepy message and delivered my food. He didn't want to sound paranoid. After all, there was food, and no one had actually done anything yet. He decided to eat the meal. Maybe that was a mistake, but he was hungry, and he wasn't sure what else to do. As he ate, the silence of the apartment felt heavy. His thoughts were consumed with the message. Was someone watching him? How had they known he was alone? Was it a prank? Or was there something darker going on? The more he ate, the more uneasy he felt. It was as if the food didn't taste quite right, though he couldn't put his finger on why. Maybe it was the situation, or maybe he was overthinking it. But the burger felt off. He finished it quickly, hoping the weird feeling would go away, but it didn't. His stomach felt tight, and his hands were clammy. He decided to try calling the restaurant again. This time, someone picked up. "Hello, how can I help you?" "I just got my delivery," Mark said, his voice shaking slightly. "But I didn't see a driver. And I got a weird message from someone who said they had my food. Is there any way you can explain what happened?" The person on the other end was quiet for a moment. Then they spoke, their voice slow and deliberate. "We don't know anything about that, sir. But you should be careful. You're not the only one who's had a strange delivery tonight. There have been a few incidents like this. We've had reports of delivery drivers. Well, I shouldn't be saying this, but..." The line suddenly went dead. Mark sat there staring at his phone, his mind racing. What had just happened? Who was messing with him? And why? He didn't get much sleep that night. The unsettling feeling stayed with him for days, and it didn't help when he found a second note slipped under his door the next morning. This one was simple. I'm watching you. Mark never ordered food from that place again. He still doesn't know who the person was or why they chose him. But after that night, he learned to be a lot more careful. When you get a delivery, you never really know who's on the other side of that door.